Good day everyone, we are from the first group. Would like to present our materials about designer methods of the spirited 1970s. Before that, let me introduce our group members. There are Fathul Ulum, Hilda, Vika, and Bella. Let's go to the topic. There are two significant things in the decade of 1970s. The first one is the development of research in second language learning and teaching into its own discipline. And the second one is there are several innovative or revolutionary methods were conceived. The designer methods are helpful for the current communicative approaches in language teaching. Here are the main things. 5 products of the spirited 1970s consist of community language learning, Suggestopedia, the silent way, total physical response, and the natural approach. But I will only present the community language learning, and the rest will be presented by the other group members. The first innovative method is community language learning. This learning method was developed from the counseling learning model of education by Charles Curran in 1972. Curran was inspired by Carl Rogers' view of education, where the learners were considered as a group rather than as a class. The teacher acted as a counselor for the students, so that the learning situation wouldn't look intimidating for the learners. In this method, the learners interacted together in a circle with the other learners, and the teacher was on the outside of the circle. Here are the steps in community language learning method. At first, the learners said something in their native language, then the teacher will translate it to the second language, and after hearing what have the teacher said, the learners will repeat their previous language in the second language sentence. That conversation could record for later listening to assist the learners in learning second language. The teacher could also provide some explanation regarding certain linguistic rules. After practicing second language repeatedly with that method, then the learners will achieve fluency in the spoken second language. Advantages of community language learning method. The first advantage is this method can overcome some threatening factors for the learners in learning second language. One of the examples of threatening factor is the learners were afraid to having a mistake in uttering the second language. The second advantage is there will be no competition in learning second language because the learners can motivate each other in learning second language. That's why this method will be less threatening for the learners. And the last advantage is flexible. The learners can determine their type of conversation to learning second language and also analyze the second language inductively. The next one is disadvantages of community language learning. The teacher could become too non-directive, and it will happen if the process of learning is too flexible for the learners. And the second one is the inductive strategy that applies in this method will become a struggle for the learners at the beginning of learning. Therefore, more directed and deductive learning could apply, especially at the initial stage of learning. So, the learners won't get any struggle in learning second language. But nowadays, this method is no longer used in the present day because it is too restrictive for institutional language programs. But some characteristics from this method, such as student-centered participation and student independence, can be applied to language classrooms.
Hello, my name is Fathul Ulum and I'm here as the second speaker. I will talk about the next topic, that is Suggestopedia. What is Suggestopedia? Actually, this method was derived from Bulgarian psychologist Georgy Lazanov in 1979. So, Suggestopedia is a method that the human brain could process great quantities of material if given the right condition for learning, among which are a state of relaxation and giving over of control to the teacher. From the definition, we can underline some words like the human brain, relaxation, and teacher. Those words is a keyword of this definition. Lazanov using music as a central to his method, and he using baroque music with its 60 beats per minute and its specific rhythm created the kind of relaxed concentration that led to super learning. According to Lazanov, during the soft playing of baroque music, one can take in tremendous quantities of material due to an increase in alpha brain wave and a decrease in blood pressure and pulse rate. In application of Saggistopedia to foreign language learning, Lazanov and his follower experimented with the presentation of vocabulary, readings, dialogues, roleplays, drama, and a variety of other typical classroom activities. Some of the classroom methodology was not particularly unique, but the primary difference lay in a significant proportion of activity carried out in soft, comfortable seats in relaxed states of consciousness. But not all agree with this method. Saggistopedia was criticized on a number of fronts, and one of them is Koval in 1979. He said that Lazanov experimental data in which he reported astounding results with Saggistopedia were highly questionable. And then there are two issues that come up according to this criticization. First is an issue that the teacher must face where music and comfortable chairs are not available. And the second is the issue of the place of memorization in language learning. Despite such dubious claim, Saggistopedia gave the language teaching profession some insight. First, we'll learn a bit about how to believe in the power of the human brain, especially the power of the human brain in learning language. And then we'll learn that deliberately induced states of relaxation may be beneficial in the classroom, and numerous teachers have at times experimented with various forms of music as a way to get students to sit back and relax. So, we know that we as a student or as a teacher, sometimes we feel stressed with the subject or the teacher or the assignment in the classroom. As a teacher, with this method, we can know that with various forms of music, we can make our students relax and reduce their stress. That is the benefit in our classroom.
My name is Bella Salsabilah. In this part, I'm going to discuss about the silent way. The silent way is the name of language teaching method found by Caltechno. Theory of learning. Learning is facilitated if the learner discovers or creates rather than remembers and repeats what is to be learned. Learning is facilitated by accompanying or mediating physical objects such as cushioner rods. Learning is facilitated by problem solving, involving the material to be learned. Next, discovery learning process. Learners should develop independence and responsibility while teacher is silent much of the time. The learners tend to dominate and conduct active role in the process of learning, while the role of the teacher is only facilitator by giving some feedbacks when necessary. It means that the teacher should be as silent as possible, while the learners should be active to speak as much as possible. Here is example of problem solving in this method. The teacher provides cushioner rods for the learners. Next, the teacher picks some of them, a small purple cushioner rods and a bigger brown one. Then, the brown is bigger than the purple, said the teacher, and the learners repeat the teacher's statement. After that, the teacher picks another cushioner rod, and the learners should be able to figure it out them by themselves.
Hi, my name is Vika. I'm here as the last presenter. I'm about to present the fourth and fifth designer method. The fourth designer method is total physical response. It is developed by James Asher. Over the years, language teachers realized that the association between language and physical activity is beneficial for students in learning process. This method is based on Asher's notes that, first, children listen a lot before they speak. Second, their listening process is accompanied by physical response, such as reaching, grabbing, moving, pointing, etc. And third, motor activity should precede language processing. In TPR classroom, students act as the actors who do a great deal of listening and acting, while teachers act as the instructor and director to direct students to do certain performance. Eventually, students will be confident enough to produce verbal responses to questions and also to ask questions. Here are the examples in total physical response classrooms. The first one is simple imperative sentences. The examples are open the window, pick up the book. The second one is more complex syntax imperative sentences. The examples can be draw a rectangle on the chalkboard. The third one is interrogative sentences. The example is where is the book? However, TPR has limitations. The first limitation is TPR lost its distinctiveness as students advance in their competence. The second one is students are limited to the oral word sentence in reading and writing activities. The fifth designer method is the natural approach. It is developed by Tracy Terrell. It is based on Stephen Krashen's theories of second language acquisition. It aims at basic personal communication skills in everyday language situations, such as conversations, listening to the radio, etc. It has the same method to TPR that learning process focuses on language comprehension before students are ready for speaking activities. It is called silent period in the natural approach. In this approach, there are 3 stages. The first one is the reproduction stage. This stage is the development of listening comprehension skills. The second stage is the early production stage. In this stage, teachers focus on meaning rather than form in students' utterances. In this stage, errors happen as students struggles with the language. The third stage is the last stage. Teachers focus on students' language fluency. Teachers can do more complex games, role plays, open-ended dialogues, discussion, and extended small group work, which leads students to produce longer and more complex sentences. However, this approach still has limitation. The silent period in the approach may lead to delay of oral production. Thank you.